I think it's fair to say over the past couple of months, the crypto market has changed dramatically. And so with this being said, I want to kind of do a little bit of a reassessment and kind of right sizing of what potentially are kind of the strongest 5 altcoins that we do see within the crypto market right now. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Obviously, you know, this is all my opinion. None of this is financial advice, all of that type of good stuff. But hopefully you can find kind of a little bit of some useful information in this video. I'm going to be going over 5. I do have one honorable mention, so I guess 6 total, but 5 cryptos that I do think are kind of sitting in very, very strong position kind of within the overall crypto market. Given the recent pullback that we've seen, it's been super, super damaging to many cryptos. And so there are 2, or actually, like I said, there are 5 in particular, with the 6th one being an honorable mention that I really do think are noteworthy and worth looking at. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead. We'll dive right in. I did just kind of want to show you the state of the crypto market. This is the yearly returns on crypto bubbles. Obviously, we can see, you know, OHM, BGB, XRP, XLM, XDC kind of being the big ones here. I guess GT and TRX. TRX is hidden a little bit, but we can see these all doing fairly well on the year. Even Bitcoin's still up fairly, you know, a decent bit on the year. But as we can see for altcoins, really bad returns almost across the board on the year, right? I mean, we can see Ethereum down 43%, Polygon down almost 80%. We can see SEI down 77%, OP or Optimism down 75%, ICP 50%. I mean, really just kind of laying the beat down on so many of these altcoins here. And this is exactly why I wanted to make this video, is because we can see over the past year, things have changed a lot. I mean, something like Polygon being down 80%, Immutable being down 80%. I mean, these are massive. Like, these were big projects in 2021. And obviously, you know, we're even seeing like Sam Altman's WorldCoin down almost 90%. I mean, some really crazy moves happening in the market. And so with that, I just kind of want to create a video talking about that. And so without further ado, we're going to go start talking about the first coin that I actually think is in really prime position kind of after this recent pullback that we have seen in 2025. The first one is, of course, none other than XRP. Regardless of what you may think about XRP, it is undeniable XRP has done very well, and it's held up incredibly well in an otherwise very challenging market. We can see this is only just the past year, but we can see obviously, you know, kind of moving along, hovering around kind of the 40 to 60 cent range, and then all of a sudden, boom, we see this massive run kind of to this initial high of about $2.70. We do break above $3, and even as of right now, when a lot of coins are down 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80%, I mean, really ridiculous values being slashed off some of these altcoins, we're seeing XRP sitting up here at $2.42. Of course, still down from its recent highs, but I mean, what is that, like 30-ish%? Like, that's not bad at all in a market that's has seen a lot of damage coming from it. And one thing that I did also want to make clear, Bitcoin is not going to be in this list because Bitcoin is not an altcoin. I just want to make that clear, like kind of clarify that, just in case anybody's like, well, where's Bitcoin? It's not going to be in here because it's not an altcoin. So anyway, moving on, if you are interested in like doing any sort of trading on any of these types of coins, basically all of these except the honorable mention are all tradable on BTCC. Here we can see XRP. We do have kind of a little bit more some technical analysis here. We obviously can see, you know, exactly what we were talking about, a really strong move up, price kind of consolidating at a much higher level than what we were back in late 2024 and really kind of all throughout 2024. We can see 2024 starts here, really not much happening kind of throughout the whole year. So really impressive move. But like I said, if you are interested in trading on BTCC for XRP, or really for anything else for that matter, really easy to do so. It's kind of a super clean way to go in and kind of trade. If you are looking to kind of, you know, limit trade or market trade, leverage trade, anything like that, I can go ahead and, you know, maybe I'll set like a 10x leverage, just so I'm not doing anything too crazy. You can do up to 500x, but I mean, that's a bit nuts. And then we'll say we want to price it, like, let's say we think it can come back down to the bottom of this channel. We can just set a limit order at $1.92. If it will let me do that, there we go. And then we'll say we want to buy, you know, we'll just say 5,000 XRP. And then here we go. We will be using $960 of margin. We will open that long and boom. it's gonna be here. We will hit that limit if we do see price come back down to this price. Again, who knows for sure if/when that will happen, but just kind of given some of the TA, that's where I'm gonna put the price here. And we can see obviously, it does quite well. So if you are interested, like I said, in addition to just kind of if you use the link in the description below, you do get that 10% bonus on first time deposits, as well as up to $10,055 of extra trading deposits with no VPN or KYC necessary. So really, really good deal. Like I said, all the ones that we talk about, except the honorable mention, are going to be tradable on BTCC if you are interested. So if you're looking to kind of accumulate any of these, go on ahead and get signed up. And we will move right on into the next one, which is Cardano. Cardano looking somewhat similar to kind of what we saw out of XRP, right? Obviously, a really, really strong push to the upside here back in November, December timeframe. We have seen a little bit further of a retracement though out of Cardano compared to what we've seen from XRP. With XRP is very, very clear, broken way up and stayed there pretty consistently. What we can see is, we did see prices back in, March-ish when we kind of saw that mini bull run that were comparable to kind of some of the lows that we have seen here. So, depending on where you're looking in the past year, the gains are kind of about back to that level. But if we're looking kind of like 2024 election, price is still up way high from what we were seeing there. So things still looking really good there. This is overall, like I said, very bullish. We've seen a lot of crypto altcoins, if not give all of the gains that they made in the kind of this like post-election run, if not all of them, most of them, and some are even lower than what they were kind of prior to this election run-up. So that obviously is not the best sign, but we are seeing some of these really, really strong performers hold up fairly well, even though a lot of the market is getting kind of punished. And so we can even see things like Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin did actually hit or get very, very close to hitting some of the highs that we saw prior to the 2024 election. So almost giving back all of the gains that we saw a kind of post-election rally. Now, the next one that I want to take a look at here is Hedera. Same type of thing. Again, you're probably noticing a trend here. One, it's American crypto coins, and two, we're seeing kind of some of these coins that has a really, really successful run up, but they haven't given back all of their gains because so many of them have that it's actually fairly rare that we see this type of level of like resilience out of a crypto coin. And obviously that means that there's kind of something extra going on here. Now, obviously, some of these do have kind of a lower circulating supply, namely XRP. We have a couple others that we haven't gotten to yet. But if you look at something like, Hedera or Cardano, like they're mostly diluted, if not fully diluted. And so what we're seeing here is like, it's not like, a lot of the liquidity is locked up. Like people can sell if they want. They just don't want to because they're really, really bullish on the project. And so that obviously always bodes well for the future. So this is another thing that we're seeing out of Hedera. Really, really strong performer. And I do think that this could be one to keep an eye on as we continue on into 2025. Bull market, bear market, all the same. These have performed very, very well so far. And so I would expect them to kind of continue to do the same unless we see something kind of fundamentally change with kind of the state of crypto and the regulatory market within the US. Now, the next thing before we move on to our fourth coin is I did want to tell you about a private community that I do have set up in Discord. If you are interested, just go on over to the Patreon link in the description below. You can go on ahead and get signed up. A lot of times, you can ask me any questions that you have that you want me to get back to you on, anything like that. Also, if you just want to kind of hang out, interact with me and some of the other people from the community, get some of my first takes and thoughts and opinions on things when news breaks, a lot of that type of stuff, just find the link in the description below and we'll move on ahead to the fourth crypto coin. So the fourth crypto coin, as you can see here, is Ondo. Ondo is one that's a little bit different because, as you can see, it has not given back all of the gains that it's seen from like kind of the post-election rally. It's getting very, very close, but different from the three that we've already seen. It is actually at a point lower than what we saw kind of most of 2025. We do actually see back in June, it reached a price of $1.46, which of course we are actually below at this point in time. Now, the reason that I put Ondo on this list is because we're seeing a lot of really, really interesting things coming out from institutions really getting a little bit more serious about tokenizing. And so I think because we're seeing the institutions getting serious about tokenizing, this is something that we should kind of take seriously and make sure that like when we do, like, when we're talking about, coins like this, even though the price may not necessarily be holding up particularly well in the short term, we can still kind of see that potential in the long term. And so that's what I would say is kind of most important to kind of focus on here. We can see here though lots of coins locked up, and so part of the reason we could be seeing some of the selling pressure is as more and more coins unlock, there may be some potential selling pressure from VCs and early entrants and insiders, all this type of stuff that might be kind of damaging some of the chart price as we're seeing here. So that's one thing just to consider. Before we move on, I know I've mentioned an honorable mention here coming in shortly, and so I want to talk a little bit about kind of, I consider this as like a beta play to Ondo. So just kind of want to kind of preface with that, and then now we'll go on ahead and we'll get right back into it. All right, so getting into the honorable mention, again, this is not the fifth coin, this is just an honorable mention that I do kind of view as potentially a beta play to Ondo, and this is Plume. Plume is very, very similar because you can see down here that they are the first RWA-Fi L1 network focused on crypto natives, building infrastructure to connect the real world and crypto markets. We know that Ondo has recently come out with Ondo Chain, so Ondo's kind of starting to play into this space, and obviously they are a bigger name. So Plume will be getting a very large competitor here soon, but they do kind of have potentially, depending on how you define it, the first mover advantage in terms of actually developing their own L1. And we can see here the market cap is a fraction of the size of Ondo. The fully diluted valuation is still very, very large. Tokenomics kind of seem to be fairly consistent and fairly similar at the point in which they start with kind of 20% circulating supply and then dilute up to the 100%. Again, over the long term, this is very, very damaging to price generally long term. So you need to be very careful of that. But this is something that could in the short term be a pretty strong beta play to Ondo. As we can see here, less than 400 million, where if we look at Ondo, we're at about 2.6 billion. So what is that, like 1/6 the price? Yeah, I think that's about 1/6 the price, a little bit less than that actually. So, a pretty decent potential beta play here. Obviously, we kind of need the narrative to take off a little bit and Plume to catch some eyes. But what we can see over the past couple of days is Plume actually has caught some eyes. This is actually a very new token. We can see we're out looking at a year, but it actually only goes back to the beginning of January. So you can see it kind of stagnated for a little while. And then after kind of the 16th of January, it did start to take off. We are kind of on a little bit of a retrace right now. So another one to kind of keep an eye on, pay a little bit of attention to. Again, this is a super, super young coin. So I didn't feel like it was super fair to kind of put this in the list kind of generally. So I added it in as an honorable mention just so I could get around that. This one is not tradable on BTCC, but it is tradable on WEEX if you are looking to get into this early, spot, leverage, whatever, you name it. You can go to WEEX. I do have that link in the description below. I think they're doing to $20,000 or $30,000. They're always changing it, but of new deposit bonuses if you are interested in trading and getting your hands on some Plume. That's a really, really good offer as well. So just go on ahead and check that out in the description below. Also, if you are interested. Now we are going to get to the fifth and final altcoin that we have seen that is looking pretty strong here recently. Again, this is another very young coin, I guess a little bit younger than Plume, but we have seen some very impressive movement, and I think they're doing a lot of really interesting things. So maybe this is contradicting a little bit of what I said earlier about not putting in young coins, but I do think the returns that we've seen, particularly, again, it's very important to note that we've seen these types of returns. What is this? Like almost 3x in a market where we've seen a lot of altcoins bleed 30, 40, 50, 60% even. I mean, we've seen altcoins get absolutely hammered over the past, what is this, probably like 3 months. And in a decent chunk of that time, we've seen the Story protocol, the ticker being IP, do almost a 3x. I mean, that's pretty impressive, right? And so what we can see here, market cap of about 1.4 billion, fully diluted of about 5.5 billion. Again, same type of thing, tons of locked up supply, at least for right now. It is important to note there is no max supply. So they do have kind of like a mint burn mechanism from my understanding here. But overall, there is no max supply. So this theoretically could inflate into infinity, though generally projects like this kind of do a lot of various things to stop that from happening. But I want to talk a little bit about Story because this is something where they're essentially putting IP on chain and they're really leaning into like IP data ownership, like essentially ownership of like I mean, this is anything, right? I mean, this could be anything from like a comic book, this could be music, this could be art, this could be movies, this could be likeness. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that people could kind of own as like intellectual property. This could be patents. I mean, there's so many different things that kind of fall under IP. And so this is a massive addressable market. And so I think there's a lot of different directions that Story Protocol could go in terms of like kind of capturing the IP market. I think that's why we're seeing such a really positive price appreciation here. I also, when I was at ETH Denver, did check out Story Protocol. It's pretty impressive. I got to admit, you know, a lot of the things that they were doing with various AI kind of things and how they're kind of planning to capture IP, why it makes sense for an IP holder to put their data and their like IP on chain. It makes a lot of sense. And so this is one that I'm keeping a very, very close eye on. Obviously, we've seen a really strong pump. When I learned about it, it was kind of in this like $5 to $6 range. It's kind of consolidated down here. So, you know, I might be taking a closer look at this. I'm kind of wondering to see if this starts to fall back a little bit. But again, you know, people really aren't selling, at least right now. You know, we'll kind of have to see how that goes further on into the future. But you know, the price and the chart itself is held up really quite well. And so definitely keeping a close eye on Story Protocol to kind of see what happens there. But overall, that's what we've got for the top 5 strongest altcoins that I'm kind of seeing in the market right now. I'm pretty bullish on all of them. I think they look really good. I do own some. I do not own all of them. Just for full disclosure, I'm not just here, you know, kind of pumping my own bags. This is just kind of, as far as I can tell, my objective view of kind of where the market sits right now. Now, again, obviously, you know, you can agree, you can disagree. You should always be doing your own research because this is not financial advice. These are just my opinions. I could be wrong. You know, I may have no idea what I'm talking about. You have to make that decision for yourself. But overall, I think it's pretty clear to see based on price action. All of these looking really quite impressive in an otherwise very unimpressive time in crypto. So anyway, hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, a like and a subscribe really, really do help me out. If you have any comments, thoughts, feelings, whatever, drop those in the comment section below. I do read and respond to all of those. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. Is there anything I missed out on? Is there anything you think I included that I shouldn't have? I'd love to hear all your guys' opinions with that. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.